So my place-based lesson plan is called How Do People Get Around Campus? The subject is data collection, and I think that I have it that would be down like an hour and 10 minutes, and that would probably have to be done over at least 2 days. However, if you set aside time in one day to, put an hour, a little over an hour, you could probably give or take, then that you could fit this in one day, but you'd have to make the time for that. So my social studies standards is 4th grade, benchmark 5.1, history, ideas, and transportation systems. I also have a math standard and English standard. I did not find a science standard that fit with what I was going for in this assignment or in this lesson. So my central question was, why do you think people use different methods of transportation around campus? And I chose that because, I feel like students really can think about that and, think about how other people are different and use a different mode than they do. And so that's kind of the overlying question of what to think about throughout this entire lesson. So my lesson objectives are: students will be able to identify the different travel methods that students use around campus. Students will also be able to take that data and put it into a chart, table, or graph. My informal assessments, I have 2 informal and 1 formal. My informal assessment is data collection page from the outside activity. Students will fill it out and then hand it in. And then another informal was question time. I will be scaffolding and asking questions, and those students will be answering questions for me, or to me, and then in front of the class. And then a formal assessment is the data representation that they're going to turn in. So the graph, the chart, or the table that they can choose. And I'll go through that, but they can choose, and that's what they'll turn in for their formal assessment, and that is individual. So some of the other activities are actually in a group, but this is individual. I have a few vocabulary words, some materials, not much. And so for preparation of the lesson, I wrote it out as a sub would be reading it. So essentially just get them lined up, grab their clipboard, hand out the papers, and then, get them lined up quietly. If they're not quiet, they can go back to their seat. We have talked about this previously, hypothetically speaking, and they would know what to do. The students would know that they can, when they go outside, they know all the rules. So I would just have the sub or whoever, the teacher, going over those rules just one more time quickly before we go outside. The beginning of the lesson, I would start by asking the students, kind of how they get to school and how, they see other people get to school, and the activities on here. I don't have time to explain it all, but that's on here. So outside, what they're going to be doing is they're going to give a sheet, and the sheet is attached at the end of my lesson plan. And they are going to get their sheet, and they're going to sit with their table groups in different spots where the teacher can see them. That's the one stipulation. They'll have 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how long their group takes, and they will just watch people and watch them from, all angles and just all different directions, and see how they're getting to class. If they're coming from campus, are they walking? Are they coming from the street? Are they riding a bike, or are they in a car, or, how on a skateboard? How is that working? And so they're going to mark that down, and then we're going to come inside, and then there's a few things I will ask them. And then after that, they will create their graph or table or chart of their choice individually. And that is the middle part, and the end part is turning in their exit ticket, and also their completed data representation. So of the data that they collected. The rubric, I'm not going to read that because it's kind of long, but I have 2 criterias, and mastery is 4 out of 4, meaning they get all the points. Developing is 2 out of 4, meaning they're almost there. They're about halfway there, but we want them above that. So, okay, I'm going to read some of these questions. What I learned from this lesson was that, it is so important that students are outside, and not necessarily outside, but up and, doing those place-based learning, because it is so important that these students are out and about and learning in the real world, and that is going to get them more experience and more exposure to what they're actually going to be living in rather than just sitting in the classroom. Describe what skills, knowledge, or disposition students will develop from engaging in this lesson. So they're gonna develop real world skills as far as looking at, okay, this person rides this, I can ride a bike too, or it's experience in the real world and experience what they see every single day, but they don't actually pay attention to how people get to school every day. They don't actively do that, and so this kind of makes people think about that. Place, why is that significant? Because it's something other than the classroom, number one, but number two, it really just gets them that real world experience, and it's somewhere other than where they normally are, and students need that. They need that experience outside of the classroom. And I think that's all that I need to share. So for any questions, feel free to let me know.